Bitcoin fell below $60,000 for the first time since October of 2024. Joining us now with more on the crypto slump, John D'Agostino, Coinbase head of institutional strategy. Do you have a good idea, a good feel for exactly what's been happening, John, and whether 59 will hold? I think that held last time in what we just mentioned, last time it got down here. Do you think this is a decent place? Because I don't know, I've heard some people say below 59, the next support is way down. It's sort of one of the drawdowns that we saw years ago with Bitcoin, 50%, or even, it's already 50, 60, 70%. What do you think?
Well, first of all, good morning, Joe. Good to see you again. Certainly like coming on when things are a little bit more bullish, but as I've been pretty consistent with on your show, I don't like calling price direction or giving investment advice. That being said, what I can tell you is I have the luxury of speaking to institutional investors. They've put months and years into looking at this asset class. So when they do that and it's cheaper, they like it. Some have a price target, some don't. Some are long-term accumulators. I just got off a plane from the Middle East. And I can tell you that the family offices in the UAE and the government and sovereign funds that have been putting the effort into buying this asset class are not unhappy at being able to buy it at a discount. I get the luxury of seeing the institutional piping that's building and supporting Bitcoin and other crypto assets in good price markets and bad price markets. And what's kind of interesting is if I compare where we are now with the last time, or one or two times before I was on your show, in a much more bullish price environment, we have a shockingly stronger level of infrastructure than we did at that time. So that's what the institutional investors are looking for. But I will say even retail, we're still at about $100 billion of Bitcoin ETF exposure. Just think about that. This is a very, very new product. The price has dropped almost 50% from the peak, and we've only seen about 15% drawdown in the retail interest. So I think both retail and institutional are signaling this is a long-term asset you want to hold.
Could you come up with 5 reasons why Bitcoin has been in sort of the winter or pullback? I can come up with a couple. I mean, you got...
Sure.
Risk off. People want to maybe invest in other things, so you sell what's liquid if you want to go into some hot IPO. Interest rates are not coming down perhaps anytime soon, and they've been going up, so the whole debasement trade maybe makes less sense. Is clarity bogged down at this point? Michael Saylor finally sold a small amount of Bitcoin, but he said he'd never sell, and that's 4. I'm sure I could come up with a 5th. Am I missing anything?
No, you've hit the big 4 that I think the consensus rationale is behind. Look, Joe, volatility is a funny thing, right? If I told you a year ago we'd be 100 days into a war with Iran, with the Strait of Hormuz being closed and no clear sight of line to it being opened, would you think that crude would still be trading under $100 a barrel, right? So when I think about these assets like Bitcoin, I think of them as commodities because of my background. And volatility comes and goes. But these long duration assets that are good to hold tend to stay popular with institutional investors. So I try not to stay up at night thinking about reasons why. I do know it was a great asset to hold. It was a fantastic asset to hold 10 years ago. It was a great asset to hold 5 years ago. And given the way the plumbing is progressing, given the way market structure is moving, tax reform, which I know the only thing less exciting than the words market structure or the words tax reform, but we have 7 bills circulating that will do great things for the institutional piping that supports Bitcoin and other crypto assets.
John, there are entities that own a lot of Bitcoin, and some of them do have some leverage. And, take your pick. We don't need to mention any names, but there's a lot. Is there a price where that this becomes a real problem, where there would be margin selling and liquidation, even worse that we've seen so far? Where would that be? What price?
Sure. Well, I mean, look, the advantage for some of the larger entities that hold Bitcoin with leverage is they seem to have an endless ability to go into the market and bring in more capital to support their buying activities. So on the institutional side, I'm not aware of any very large players that are horrifically over levered that would have a specific number that we're anywhere close to. That tends to affect retail positions, especially trading on some of the offshore exchanges that offer extreme leverage. They get to get blown out very, very quickly. That's kind of what happened to retail the last time we had a big liquidity crisis a few months back. But on the institutional side, I'm not seeing folks panicking at this point. I'm seeing them thinking about what's the cheapest way for them to acquire new capital to buy into an asset that they loved at 125, they liked at 100, and they love even more at 65.
Yeah. All right. Time will tell, John. We'll check back with you at some point. Tell us if you hear anything starts happening that we need to know about.